Hello, heart lovers. Welcome to my studio and my brand new YouTube channel. I'm really glad to have you here. I really look forward to talking to you in the comments. Please be kind to each other down there. I'm new to YouTube, but I'm not new to art, craft, making, creating. Spent a lot of years when my kids were young scrapbooking. Did a bunch of painting, some realistic, some abstract when I was younger. But then I discovered fluid art. It opened up my creativity. It gave me some more confidence and it inspired me to just create. And it really allowed me to feel comfortable sharing my art. I love the abstract quality of fluid art because I was often drawn to abstract art in the past when I would create things. So fluid art gave me a whole new perspective on abstract art. Almost 2 years ago, my journey to here started with a YouTube video. A video I watched on a channel called Molly's Artistry, and I was hooked. For about 2 weeks after that or more, all I did was watch Molly. And then, of course, as YouTube tends to do, other people came into my feed and it was suggested, and hey, try this one, and did you watch this one? And so I just started watching more and more artists. I was really amazed at the results you could get with these fluid art techniques. I really had to know more, and I really had to do more. I wanted to get started immediately, but I was in the process of fixing up my house and staging it for sale. Buying a whole bunch of new supplies, setting up an art studio, and making new messes were not on the agenda. I satisfied my cravings with more and more YouTube videos, which eventually led me to Olga Solby and Rinska Downa and so many more. Jumping ahead into the future, now the house is sold. It's mid-2022. I was in a temporary rental and I was eager to get started. I didn't have much room and I wanted to give this a try. So I purchased a small amount of ready-to-pour paints, a few cheap canvases, and just to make sure this all went off as well as it could, I purchased an online course from Molly and Olga and Rinska called A to Z Acrylic Pouring. And I was off. I got rolling and I got the hang of consistency and composition over time. Some things I hated, some things I loved. I definitely got lucky a few times in those early paintings, and sometimes I didn't. And I would either scrape it right away, or sometimes I'd let it dry and I'd look at it, and if it never spoke to me, I'd just use that canvas over again. In early 2023, we moved here to the yellow house on the hill, as we affectionately call it. And this is my studio in the basement, but part of the basement is above ground. So I have lots of windows and even a door. Makes it a really light, bright place, which I enjoy being because the view out this window, it's not bad. There's always almost there blah. There's almost always birds out there singing, and it's usually sunny, although sometimes extremely windy. So I did what was typical for me. I set up and I jumped in. I had supplies, I had ideas, and I had YouTube. More videos than hours in the day, but I got going. In the list of channels I subscribe to on YouTube, there is at least 40 artists. Many of them are fluid artists. So if you're thinking about making a pilgrimage through YouTube in the realm of abstract or fluid art, I encourage it. This first video is meant as an introduction to me. Upcoming videos on this channel will more or less jump right into the painting. However, I wouldn't let you just come here, listen to me, and not also enjoy a fun pour. A couple of weeks ago, I ordered and received a set of ready to pour paints from Mixed Media Girl. She's on Instagram, YouTube. She teaches at a lot of the fluid art training that a lot of the really good artists go to. So I can link her information in below. The reason I mention it really is because as a new person, you might be looking into getting ready to pour paints. And I've tried a lot, and hers I really like. I like the colors, I like the consistency, I like the vibrance. If you're going to be doing something that you haven't ever tried before, I'm just giving you my recommendation. This is a quick and easy way to get into it. And the paints are really good, and I think you'll like them. So without further ado, I'm going to attach that video of the pour I created with the Mixed Media Girl pouring paints. It was a bottle bottom technique. It's actually the first one I did that was successful. So it's the only one on video. And then when I was done with that, I let it dry. I looked at it a few times, and then I threw another quick little embellishment at the end, and you'll see that when I show you the finished product. So thanks for being here. Let me know what you think or any questions you might have in the comments, and please come paint with me again. Okay, here I go. I'm pouring the paints on one color at a time. And you're going to notice right away that one of those puddles is getting much bigger, much faster than the rest. And I'm pretty sure my canvas and my table and my spinner are level. I think the problem is that is a homemade bottle bottom. I literally cut it out of the bottom of a water bottle, and there probably is just an uneven edge there in the back. But it's still gonna be okay. I will have to spend a little time making sure that my center stays in the center of the canvas, even though there is so much more paint on one side than the other. So I will continue to try to stretch it out and spin it, and obviously one of those, we'll call them petals, is definitely larger than the rest, but it's all right. And I do spend a bit of time, as you'll see through the video, and I will call it out. I spend a little bit of time trying to keep that center in the center as I stretch the design out across the canvas. This canvas is no bigger than 8 inches. I'm pretty sure it's an 8x8, so it's not large. So didn't use a lot of paint. I probably could have actually poured a couple of more layers on, but I'm just going to use some of this paint as a flow extender to get it over the edge, and I'm going to continue to center that middle section with the white throughout the time that I spread this out and spin it out. The paint is moving really well. As I mentioned, I do really like these paints as far as it goes when you just purchase ready to pour paints. I did use them straight from the bottle, as you saw. I didn't mix them with anything, and they really work nicely in my opinion, certainly for an application like this. I haven't used them for any kind of blow dryer technique. I think to my taste they'd be a little too thick for that, but I imagine that you could water them down a little or just use the blow dryer at a higher speed. So still just adding some more flow extender to the edges so that I could get this to come down over the sides and give me a nice pattern on the sides of the canvas. It's a pretty shallow canvas, so it doesn't need a whole lot, but I like to have a nice pretty pattern on the sides. You'll probably notice, as I am, that there is some transparency happening. There is white is mixing with the blue, and it is creating sort of a lighter blue, and it's really revealing the transparency of that color. Has a little bit of transparency in it. I will include in the description all of the colors that the specific names of the colors. Obviously I used red, white, and blue, but I will give the specific name of those particular Mixed Media Girl colors. So I pretty much have it mostly stretched and spun out. I'm going to try to get that corner that you see there on the left back, off the canvas at some point. But I'm continuing to tilt it towards the area I want it to go, and then I tilt it back again to get that center back into the center. Now, that's not a particularly crucial thing to do, is to have the center in the center. I just chose for this particular piece that I wanted the center as close to the center of the canvas as possible. There's been more than a few times when I have created a piece where there's tilting involved and there is sort of a natural center, and I've put it towards the left or the right or one of the corners, and it looks beautiful that way too. In this particular one, I just wanted to keep it in the center. So it's a little off center now, and it will ultimately be more in the center by the time we're done here. I'm going to just keep tilting it. So you see that that middle piece is definitely moving back towards the center, and I've dripped that last bit of that red over the other edge, and now I'm pushing it back, the center back towards the middle of the canvas again. Okay, so now I have let this dry, and I've decided I want a little something more. That's gloss gel from Liquitex Basics and white paint. I used the Mixed Media Girl paint, and I just mixed the two together. And with a small palette knife, I am applying it. So I probably did this in a much more difficult approach than I needed to do. What I probably should have done was get teeny little pieces of tape and tape over those little holes that are around the star, so that I didn't have to be so cautious as to avoid getting paint and gel gloss into those little holes, because all I wanted out of this particular stencil was that one little star in the middle. So I probably could have made that easier for myself, and voila! So thank you for watching. Have a great day, and come back and paint with me again.